Welcome, everyone, to another smashing edition of the Weekly Bros podcast. I am Matthew from Miscellaneous Debris. I am joined once again by my brother from my only mother, RD. How you doing, sir? What's going on?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me back.
It's always fun to have my brother on the Weekly Bros podcast, seeing how it's the Weekly Bros podcast.
And I like how you have to clarify that we're from the same mother, by the way.
Today we're going in depth. Alien. Alien came out on May 25th, 1979. Had a budget of $11 million.
Did I know that?
And grossed, domestically at least, $78,944,891.
They don't even make movies for that much money now.
Yeah, well, I see what I did here was I did some inflation numbers. So if it was made now, the budget would have been $35.2 million and would have made $253 million. So not the biggest movie in the sense of, box office draws, but in 1979 it was the same had the same budget as Star Wars. So if you could think of the two films stylistically, I mean they're quite different, even though they're both space operas.
That's pretty incredible. I think Star Wars was what, 76, 77? I think, God, the effects for Star Wars just seemed better than Alien, didn't they? I don't know.
Me. It might be just you, because I thought that that the effects in Alien far outsurpassed Star Wars. I mean, just thinking off the top of my head. I mean, because
when I say the effects for Star Wars, I mean I'm talking about, it's basically about the space battles, right? The Death Star battle, and and when the Millennium Falcon outruns or leaves the Death Star, it's those space battles. The rest of the stuff is just basic cinematography. But I'm just, even for 77, ILM was pushing the brink, and they were building new technologies to film these movies, right? So, for to come out in 77, I think it was way better, because I like some of the shots in Alien. I'm just like, it just looks campy.
Well, the exterior shots, yeah, I can completely understand that.
But
then again,
the exterior shots of the Nostromo in space, and the ship that goes on. I can't think of the ship that goes down to the surface and actually collects the alien. But
yeah, I forget what that one's called too. I agree with you in the fact that some of the exterior shots are better in Star Wars, but I wouldn't say that overall. I mean, don't get me wrong. With some of the things that I saw in Alien, I mean, just in the ship itself, I saw a lot of similarities between the Nostromo and the Millennium Falcon. Did you notice that? Maybe not in the later Star Wars films, but maybe in Solo.
I was thinking more like in The Force Awakens, like when Han and Chewie capture Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
That freighter that they're on, to me.
Oh, okay, all right.
Physically, it looks like the Nostromo. It's big and boxy, and like the interior of the the ships just looks similar to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think that was just a product at the time, because one of my things in my notes here was one of the more cheesy aspects of the film was when Dallas introduced us to Mother, and the office or the room that he talks to Mother in. Just the cheesy early 80s,
like
late 70s.
Lights flash. Have you ever seen 2001? That's like a Kubrick staple. Right?
Well, yeah, of course. But I mean, like I said, it's a product of their time. But the funny thing is that he has this huge room, all of these lights. It's all sci-fi, all futuristic, and he's talking to a screen through this little like DOS monitor.
Right.
Like he's it's like, okay, C:\mother.execute. Okay, here we go. It was just one of those like cheesy ass things that you looking back at it, you're like, oh Jesus. Oh God.
Well, back then, it was
top of the line.
Pretty advanced. That was pretty advanced. But they were using like the technologies they had to make it project in the future. It didn't project very well. Even in 2001, Hal talked. But it was just a stupid little, a little.
It was a monotone voice, yeah, and a little dot, a red
dot.
But
it was a camera, right? So it was just I don't know. It was pretty. it's pretty ridiculous if you think about it. But the thing about, 2001, where Hal was actually controlling everything, and he was evil. Where Mother wasn't evil. Mother was just in charge of the ship. She was just, a sentient being.
A very, very selfish sentient being, might I add.
Mother?
Yeah. Sacrificing the entire ship just so she can get the alien. That's just bogus, man.
That wasn't Mother, though. That was the company was in charge of that.
Wasn't the company in charge of Mother?
Yeah, but Mother
that's what I inferred for.
Mother doesn't change. We're in 2001, Hal would actually...
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Where this Mother is just following directions.
I got you. Yeah, no. I understand what you're saying. That makes a lot more sense, to be honest with you. Did you notice all the smoking that was going on?
Oh, I bet it was cool smoke then.
Oh, I realize that, but like when you look back, again, dated sign of the times. Obviously, smoking is very frowned upon nowadays, especially in film. But you're in space. You're in an enclosed area with very little oxygen to begin with.
Fair enough point, Matt. Fair enough point.
Oh, thank you, buddy. I'll make sure I edit all of that out, so it's that right there. Just fair point, man. Great.
Right.
But let's talk about the actual movie itself here. What were your thoughts on it? Watching it again like it was the first time.
Like it was, if I can go back to the first time. I gotta say, I'm a huge fan. I love the look of the alien. I love he's a classic, movie monster. But he scared the shit out of me on the big movie ride in Disney World. Like that's why I remember the alien. I remember I was like seeing cardboard cutouts at a video store when we were kids, and I'm like, oh my god, looks scary as hell. And then he was at that movie ride. I'm like, oh my god, he's scary as hell. You kind of fall in love with that character, but to me, I'm not a big scary movie guy, but the movie's very suspenseful, and it draws up the suspense beautifully, and it's like magic. I love the look of the alien, of the look of everything in the movie. H.R. Geiger just did an amazing job. Was given the inspiration behind all that. I love the characters. I love the character interactions. I even love the character names. There's so much goodness. It sounds horrible. There's so many good things about this film that I love. It's hard to really pinpoint one thing, but it's overall just a great film. It's film cinema. It's spectacularly shot. It looks beautiful. It's got all the elements you want. It's just a great movie. I don't know what else to say. I can break it down a little more. I've got 20,000 things here written down, but you just asked me for my.
H.R. Geiger, who was the movie designer, the set designer, the fun little fact I learned when I was doing my research for this movie.
Fun fact.
He was actually fired from the movie after the studio saw some of his designs for the Xenomorph, and because he was considered too sick and too crazy to work for the studio on this movie. Ridley Scott actually had to convince the studio to get him back on set and had to fly back to Europe to convince Geiger to come back onto the movie and continue his work, production designer.
I did not know that.
You had mentioned that it was shot beautifully, and I cannot agree with you more. One of the first things that struck me in this movie was the cinematography, and this is right when Steadicams were coming into their own. Movies weren't relying so much on dollies. The very first shot of the film, when you're introduced to the Nostromo, am I saying that right?
Nostromo.
Nostromo. When they're first going through the Nostromo, that long single shot showing the hallways, showing the bays, and ending up into the sleeping chamber. The beauty of it, setting you up for the silence that you experience in space. It also set up the claustrophobia in the viewer to give them an extra, feeling of uncomfortability. And it was also shot from a first-person perspective in a lot of instances when they were doing the Steadicam work. And I think that's, you see that a lot in video games nowadays, and that's not, that's not just a happy accident. They realize that, you get more involved in the story, you get more emotionally invested when you have that first-person camera angle.
Going back to that first scene of them waking up out of sleep, cryo sleep, I'm going to call it. I mean, it's such a serene moment. Like, you're watching people wake up from this cryo sleep, and it's very slow, it's very methodical, and they're just kind of like, and next thing you know, they're eating breakfast. I just like it's a great scene. It's the whole thing is just really. I love the beginning of that film. For some reason, I just find it really serene. It's pretty cool.
Well, the other thing that is great is that it automatically puts you into the character's shoes, because you're watching them get out of a cryo sleep, and you can kind of the viewer can kind of relate to the feeling that you get when you first wake up in the morning. No one really wants to get up when you wake up in the morning, and you feel for that. And then all of a sudden you see them in an environment that you are. Even though it is a environment that you would never be in a million years, eating breakfast in a spaceship in the middle of fucking space, but you relate to what they're doing. It's just a bunch of people working and eating breakfast. It's a very mundane thing that you do every single day, but it puts it gets you emotionally invested into what the characters are doing, which is another way that you feel for the characters, which is a great technique that writers use to be able to put you into the shoes of those characters.
Yeah, nothing quite like that.
Well, speaking of nothing quite like it, and I don't think I've seen anything like this before, is the opening credits. And the reason I bring that up is because, you have all of these external shots of space. As the title credits are popping up with each actor that's in the film, a small sliver of a letter that will eventually spell out the word alien pops up on the title on the top of the screen. So, you get one bit of the A, and then you get one bit of the N as soon as the name comes up, and then the next name comes up, and you get a little bit of the L until finally all the people are revealed, and then alien is revealed. It was one of the coolest opening credits I've seen, and from being back in 1979, magic.
It was on my list of things of cool shit I liked was the opening credits.
The other things that really stuck out to me was once they figure out, that they've got an alien on board, they find the dead head hugger, face hugger. I don't know what you would call that part of the alien.
They're called face huggers.
Face huggers? Okay. When that face hugger dies and gets off of John Hurt, Ash brings it back into his laboratory. And the way that Ash describes the alien is, it's not something out of fear. It's almost like an admiration, or like that he's like describing something that he loves.
Well, he is. And that's the whole point. I mean,
it was very just unnerving to like have someone be like, so enthralled with this alien creature that is eventually going to kill everyone, which he obviously knows because of the reveal later. But it was just one of those things that's like, you expect it to zig and then it zags,
Well, I think that's the first telltale right there that he is not normal. And he's an android, right? It's very Data-esque.
Well, how about that? Were you expecting the big android reveal
at the time? No, I mean, you knew something was up with Ash. Like, you knew he was either disconnected from reality or he was not scared.
Because he struck me very sociopathic when he was introduced.
I get it. He's the science officer, right? So he's looking at things from a different angle from the other crew members, but at the same time, he's not even afraid. And that should be your first clue. There's something wrong with this guy. And whether or not he's a psychopath or an android, and who the hell knows, but obviously he came out as an android. But there's something. He's looking at it from a very analytical point of view, a very scientific point of view. At the same time, it's hard to say at the same time, but he's very interested in what it does and what it can do, and that's all he cares about. Is bringing that thing home back to the company. So, and it's the first telltale that there's something fucked up with him, and he's ultimately the bad guy in this whole damn movie. not the alien. The alien's not the bad guy. It's Ash. Ash is the dick. You know, he disobeys Ripley, lets him in. He doesn't want to, get rid of it. You know, he wants to keep it. I don't know.
You make a completely valid point.
He tried to kill Ripley. Ash is legitimately the bad guy of the Alien movie. You know, where I think
you're kind of blowing my mind right now, man. I think you're right.
Well, I mean, something to think about. Just something to think about. I don't think the alien is not the bad guy. Yeah, he's the scary monster. It's doing what it needs to do to survive. You know, that's all it does. Continuation of the species, no matter how it is.
Well, wouldn't you could you argue the fact that Ash was doing the same thing? I mean, he was doing what he was told to do and instructed to do by the company. You know, you don't think that could be?
No, I don't think so one bit.
Well, what I do think about Ash is I think that the reveal of him being an android was well placed in the film, because when I saw it, or of course when I saw it, it doesn't make any sense. I'm talking about the goddamn movie. Of course it's when I saw it. It's like, you know what? It's kind of like when you or I or anybody on a podcast goes like, you know, in my opinion, of course it's your opinion. You're fucking saying it. Like, unless you say, hey, so-and-so said this, of course it's yours.
I forgot what comedian said it, but it's like, I know what you're talking about. It's like when you go to the movie theater, right? You get popcorn. The guy's like, hey, enjoy your movie. And you're like, yeah, you do.
Yeah,
right?
Like, wait a minute. Yeah, he's not going to see a movie. He's fucking working.
You're giving me popcorn.
Anyway, so
same thing.
So what I was saying was the reveal of Ash being an android was well done, because that scene where he reveals himself to the android is a couple of scenes after they see what happens to John Hurt. So when you see Ash reacting the way that he does, and kind of being protective of the alien, it kind of makes you think that Ash is infected by the alien, because you don't know what kind of effect it had on John Hurt. You saw what it did after it manifested itself. It kind of gave me the idea that Ash was infected by the alien, and then once they chop his head off, you're like, you got all these wires flying, or you got all these things flying out of his head. It's like, holy shit, he's like infected with whatever the hell it is. And then it's like, oh, he's a fucking android. Oh, it makes a lot more sense. But at first showing, I thought he was infected with the alien, because I didn't know what the alien did to John Hurt when he was infected. So it kind of made me believe that Ash was an alien before I found out that he was a robot. So I think that it was the placement of the reveal was good.
I see what you're saying.
But yeah, man, a couple other interesting things about the movie. Get this. The movie came out in 1979, right? Other two sci-fi films that came out that same year: Star Trek, the motion picture, and Mad Max.
The original Mad Max?
The original Mad Max.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. So
another couple.
So what did you think of the actors' performance? Like Sigourney Weaver, Tom Skerritt, John Hurt.
Those are the four. I wrote down them all, but those are the four I like. Obviously Sigourney Weaver. I really thought she did a great job. Tom Skerritt. I didn't want him to die. I kind of liked the guy. I think I liked him for different reasons, but I think I saw him in Top Gun before I saw Alien, so I was like, oh, I like Tom Skerritt. I don't want him to die.
Would it shock you that at the end of the movie, I still didn't know who the fuck he was? And I'm like, I know this guy. I'm like, who the hell is it? Like, I've seen this guy before. Who the hell is this guy?
I knew him from, like, Picket Fences or something like that on TV, but I knew him from, like, from Top Gun, and later on he was in Contact. I mean,
it was weird, because like he's so young in the film, or he's relatively young in the film, and I'm just like, who the hell is this? I'm like, oh shit, that's him.
I think it's more interesting to see John Hurt playing Kane, because
oh yeah,
I mean,
that guy's a legend.
Yeah, but at the time, every time I see John Hurt, I'm like, why the hell do I know him? He's like in everything, but he's in nothing. Like, he's that guy, you're like, who the hell is that guy? And then you're like, oh, it's that guy. I don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure he's in the Harry Potter movies, but I don't know what the hell he plays.
He was... no, John Hurt was...
He played the wand guy?
He played Ollivander.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, no, he played Ollivander.
But I knew him as, like, Doctor Who, and...
also he was in Hellboy. He played Hellboy's caretaker. Do you know who was originally cast as Ripley?
Let me not Google it. I have no idea. Who was it?
Meryl Streep.
Oh, God. Thank God that one changed.
The role of Dallas was originally written for Harrison Ford.
I could have dug it. I like Harrison Ford. He keeps anything good.
But yeah, I mean, like, I didn't really think about it until it's like, oh, yeah. Well, Ridley Scott directed Blade Runner. Another interesting little fun fact about Alien.
Contact. That's where I know John Hurt from.
The egg on the poster of Alien, that poster was done before the egg chamber scene was written and or filmed.
Yeah.
And so the reason that the eggs look different in the chamber or in the movie, for that matter, than they do in the poster was because they had no idea what the hell they were going to look like. So it's just a little interesting, because if you look at the actual poster, it's just a fucking regular egg. Alien, I would have to say it was probably the one of the better sci-fi suspense. I'm not going to call it a horror film because I don't think it was scary in that respect. But it was a great film.
I think the horror genre is very pigeonholed. You know, it can be very big. You know, I don't know. I think Alien definitely is a horror movie with a sci-fi element to it. You know, where Silence of the Lambs is a horror movie with a drama aspect.
What would your star rating be if you give it up to 5 bros?
What we do? We go back to bros. It'd be 4 out of 5 bros. About 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10 bros.
Yes.
I think I would give it an 8 out of 10 as well.
Damn it.
Or 4 out of 5. Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm good to go.
All right. Well, my last thing.
You've been waiting to say this. Go ahead and say it.
Fuck that cat.
I know why you hate him, because she went back for a fucking cat, but at the same time,
it's
if it was your dog,
stupid.
you would say it.
No, it would be one dead dog, and I would be alive, and I would not have an alien chasing me anymore. I don't like cats. What do you want from me? And don't forget that you can reach us on the Twitters at Rock in the D, or at Miscellaneous Debris with 2 underscores, or at The Weekly Bros. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Keep on living that dream, and we'll talk to you soon.